2009, attend the wedding of News International chief executive Rebecca Brooks. The ceremony took place by a leg at a country estate. I stood next to TV presenter Piers Morgan, Paul Dack, Daily Mail editor, was just 3 yards away. Promoter was closer to the action. David Cameron hung back up the slope. Gordon Brown, then Prime Minister, arrived there with all eyes turning to him as he walked down to the lake. At the reception, I had a brief conversation with Mr. Cameron. I said I hoped he would not win the coming election, but that if he did and if he wanted to act to improve political debate and standard in the press, I would support him. For some time, the journalist in me had known that the relationship between politics and the media was not serving the public. But it was my first-hand experience of this developing culture of abuse and negativity that convinced me breathing press and 24-hour news will make it more difficult for elected leader to govern. It's got worse, hasn't it? He said. I replied that he would be a much stronger prime minister were he to take office. Not really he owed anything to the big media groups. At that point, Mr. Murdoch joined us, and we changed the subject. Perhaps we should not have done so. But that we did, however, illustrated something of the dishonesty at the heart of our essentially political commercial relationship. It is not easy to do what Ed Miliband, Labour leader, did last week, make himself an enemy of some of the media's most powerful forces. He was right that Labour got too close to News International, but he was also right that given the media bias against it, he knew why we tried to level the playing field. In my own defense, and as my diary shows, I argued for some years with Tony Blair that we need to act on the culture of our media. At one point, he ticked me off, asking that I not make views so obvious in front of Mr. Murdoch, his son James, and Lexington, then chief executive of News International. Ultimately, Mr. Blair thought the press had become a problem, but that given all our other priorities, people would not understand our taking them on. He also thought it would look like revenge for the fact they had turned against us. And there were political considerations too. Trying to govern and win election is hard enough without the press being against you. Except that for all of us, at times media support was something we created at the expense of positions of principle on media issues. But that trap has now been sprung. The latest revelation had forced the police, News International, and the government to act. The police will now be more vigorous. News International will continue with their kamikaze crisis management, which one day will be studied as a textbook case of how not to do it. But the most important development are the Prime Minister during inquiries into press practices and a new system of regulation. This means we now have once in a generation opportunity for new settlement between politics, the media, and the public. Nobody can argue that we have the press we deserve. Pressured by technological change, a dominant strain of Britain's media has gone into a spiral of decline, in which this scandal is only the most dramatic development. Mr. Cameron did not look comfortable announcing the reviews, but he has personal relationship at stake, and given he hired Andy Carson as his communications director, his judgment is too. Already the backlash from part of press has begun that they seek to maintain that anything but toothless self-regulation is an assault on the free press. But Mr. Cameron must stand back from all of that and ask himself what is the right thing to do. He did some of it last Friday. If the judicial inquiry should be far-reaching, the news of the world is far from alone in the use of dubious and relationships and illegal practices, as widely ignored report from the Information Commissioner have shown. Part of British media reminds me of the trade union before Mrs. Thatcher. They feel untouchable. As I say above, Labour could and should have done more to deal with the fair beast. But just as 예약하셨어요? 아 그래요? 저 예약 안 했어요. 네, 들어오세요.